This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on expectations from India at Davos. The participants are Ashok Sajjanhar, former diplomat, and Simran Sodhi, journalist.
Today we are discussing the Davos summit, and we see that the world is getting together to look at the challenges that have been presented by the post-COVID world and how the world moves together forward. We also have an Indian delegation which will be representing India's interests at the summit. Ambassador Sajjanhar, when you see the summit which is happening post-COVID and the number of challenges facing the world, how do you, one, look at the summit, and two, at India's participation in the summit?
I think both these questions are very important, Simran. What you said, as far as the summit is concerned, there are two themes that the summit has identified for itself, and they respond to the first question that you have posed. The theme of the summit overall is history at a turning point, government policies and business strategies. And along with that, another sub-theme that has been identified is working together, restoring trust. So I think these aspects are extremely important because if you look at the pandemic that took place in early 2020, I think one of the biggest casualties that took place at that time was of trust. As far as the supply chains are concerned, we know that China had tried to weaponize them, and so there was a huge reduction as far as trust and confidence in the resilience and in the credibility, reliability of the supply chains was concerned. So one of the aspects as far as this World Economic Forum, the Davos Summit is concerned, is restoring trust and how the countries can really get together and start working together. The second big challenge that has surfaced in front of the world, after the once-in-a-century pandemic, which still is continuing because we have seen over recent weeks and months, whether it is China, North Korea, or some of the other places, the incidence of the pandemic has not come down. As far as India is concerned, because of the very prudent policies of the government and also the cooperation and full active participation of the people, we have been able to handle this very effectively. But the second equal challenge that is now facing the world is that of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict that started with the Russian aggression on Ukraine on the 24th of February. The end does not seem to be in sight. And we have seen that over the last more than 2.5 months, that there is a huge increase as far as prices of gas, prices of oil in the world, prices of commodities are concerned. There is huge shortage of fuel, of food items, of fertilizers. And all this is impacting upon the developing countries particularly. Of course, the developed countries are also not unaffected because we've seen how the prices of gas and hydrocarbons in the United States, in Europe, in the United Kingdom, how they have also increased. But the countries in Africa, Asia, Latin America, which are dependent so much on wheat imports from Russia or Ukraine, or maize coming from there, or edible oil coming from there. So all of them have been very badly affected. So this summit is going to discuss all these issues. It is expected that about 50 heads of government will be participating. This would include the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. It would include the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. It will have the NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg, the US Climate Envoy John Kerry, and many others will be participating. About 2,500 people are expected to participate, and this would include politicians, political leaders, business leaders, civil society activists, and many others. If we look at it as to the number of participants in 2020, because after 2020, this is the first in-person summit in Davos that is taking place, we had about 3,000 people who participated in 2020, but this is a little less than what had participated there. Now, responding to your second question in terms of Indian participation, we will have the Commerce and Industry Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal. He will be leading India's delegation. There will be about 6, both chief ministers and ministerial representatives from different states. We will have the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, of Karnataka, of Andhra Pradesh. We will also have very many central ministers like Mr. Mansukh Mandavia, the Health Minister, also Ambassador Hardeep Puri, who is the Petroleum Minister and Housing Minister. And in addition to that, there will be a large number of business leaders and tycoons who will be participating. We also have Amitabh Kant, the CEO of Niti Aayog, who will also be there and participating in some of the sessions. So basically, the idea will be that since, of course, India also faces its own challenges, but still India's economy has done comparatively quite well, because look at our growth rate. Even the IMF has said that India will be the fastest growing economy during the current year, about 8% plus economic growth. We also have done exceedingly well as far as our exports are concerned. For the first time, $418 billion. We have crossed the $400 billion mark as far as our export of goods are concerned. As far as export of services are concerned, more than $250 billion. So we are doing well on that front. We are doing well also in terms of our GST collections, 1.68 lakh crores in the last month. And so I think by and large, Indian economy has been doing well, notwithstanding the inflationary pressures and challenges. So I think this is all what the Indian delegation at different levels will try to project in their discussions during the Davos summit.
Ambassador Sajjanhar, we also see that the topics on the agenda will include pandemic recovery, tackling climate change, building a better future for work, accelerating stakeholder capitalism, harnessing the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution. As you mentioned, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will be there. The Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister, his Karnataka counterpart, the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister will be there. So we see that this is a heavy Indian delegation which is going there, and we have very important topics on agenda. How do you see the world coming together on these issues, especially given the fact that post-COVID we see, and as you pointed out, our economy has still done okay. Other economies haven't done that well.
Yeah, that is, I think, the biggest challenge. And these are some of the aspects that the leaders will try to discuss, whether it is the political leaders or the business leaders, civil society activists, all of them. They will try to discuss and try to find a way out. Now, one of the aspects that we have to keep in mind is that, the reason why we have the energy prices going up so much and the food prices going up so much, because Black Sea ports are not being able to be employed for export of grain, of wheat, of maize and other items. And Russia is not allowing those Black Sea ports to be used for export. And Russia is not being invited to this summit because of the sanctions that have been placed on Russia. So I think it is definitely going to be a challenge. But taking some of the issues that you have mentioned, one is in terms of the pandemic recovery. That I think definitely the leaders are going to discuss as to how the world in a very significant way is coming out. I think if you look at the situation in May 2022, it is extremely very different from what prevailed in 2020. And we do have a large number of vaccines. Even if we were just to look at the situation as far as India is concerned, we see that India has about 4 domestically manufactured vaccines, and we have supplied our vaccines to about 100 countries, 98 countries. Many of them we have given gratis to these countries. Our own people of 1.3, 1.4 billion people, we have been able to deal with that quite effectively because of the very close collaboration between the government policies and the people. So I think India has emerged, as far as dealing with the COVID-19 is concerned, some sort of a role model. Also, as far as the economy is concerned, the policies that we have followed are very prudent, and that is why they have resulted in this outcome that India will be the fastest growing economy this year and maybe for several years to come also. Climate change is also a very important issue, and you would recall, Simran, that when the last virtual summit took place in January of 2022, then Prime Minister Modi had given a call that the whole world should adopt the ethos of life, which stands for lifestyle for environment. That means we need to change our lifestyle, we need to change our mindset as far as the climate change issues are concerned. And he had also given a call for following the policy of the 3 Ps, which stands for pro-planet people. So I think these are all aspects that are going to be discussed in detail. In fact, it is not the first time that these issues are going to be discussed, but they have been subject of deliberation for the last several months and years. But I think what is important, as I mentioned, this is the first in-person meeting that will be taking place after more than 2 years, because the last Davos summit in person had taken place in January of 2020. So this is about 2 years and 4 months. And so that will provide an opportunity for the leaders to come together face to face, discuss these, look at how the different policies, what are the results that they have yielded, what are the shortcomings. And I think this is a great opportunity as far as India is concerned, because if you look around in the different issues that are going to be discussed, whether it is the pandemic or it is the economic recovery or it is the climate change issues, as we have mentioned, India is the only major country, in fact, the only member of the G20, which is implementing its obligations under the Paris Accord. And in 2023, India will be taking over also as the presidency of G20. So that will also provide us a very good opportunity to reach out to the world, to tell the world as to what we have been able to do.
Ambassador Sajjanhar, as you pointed out, we are also having this summit now in a world where we have the Russia-Ukraine crisis going on. And we also have a very divided world, Russia on one side, and we have the European nations and the US on another side. And India has chosen to do this delicate rope walk where we are maintaining our relations with all parties. How do you think does the Russia-Ukraine crisis play into the Davos summit? How much does it affect what is going to happen there when you have a warlike situation in the world today?
I think the clouds of the Russia-Ukraine conflict definitely will tend to overshadow much of the discussions. And we see that we will have NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg present there. So I'm sure there are going to be discussions on that and discussions on how to, in terms of the help and support that needs to be provided to Ukraine after the conflict so that it can recover. We will also have a virtual address by the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to the participants in the Davos summit. I'm told that there are going to be some representatives also from Ukraine who will be participating. So that will definitely have some sort of an obstacle or a definite challenge as far as the participants are concerned when they deal with issues like pandemic recovery, climate change, economic resurgence, revival. But the leaders are definitely going to try to come up with some very concrete suggestions and evolve a way forward so that the Ukraine crisis is not allowed to completely overshadow what they have got together. And this is, I think, a historic opportunity. As I said, the leaders will be meeting after 2 years and 4 months. I'm sure they don't want to fritter away this opportunity. And I am hopeful that some concrete ideas and decisions will emerge as a result of these discussions.
And in the coming days, we will continue our discussion of the Davos Summit and India's participation there as we follow the developments there and the global developments also. With these comments, we bring today's discussion to an end. Thank you.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on expectations from India at Davos. The participants were Ashok Sajjanhar, former diplomat, and Simran Sodhi, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.